What if the entire world thought you were crazy, but you knew God was speaking the truth? Long before mighty kingdoms and ancient empires rose to power, there was a time when the world had forgotten its creator. People turned away from God and filled the earth with violence, greed, and corruption. Kindness became rare, justice disappeared, and humanity lived only to satisfy its own desires. As God looked upon the earth, he saw that the hearts of men had become hardened. Evil had spread across the land, and the beauty of his creation was being destroyed by sin. But among countless people, there was one man who stood apart. His name was Noah. Noah was a righteous man who walked with God. Even though the world around him had abandoned faith, he remained loyal to the Lord and chose to live according to his will. Then one day, God spoke to Noah. The Lord revealed that a great flood would come upon the earth to wash away the wickedness of mankind. Yet, even in judgment, God had a plan of mercy. He would preserve life and give humanity a new beginning. God commanded Noah to build a great ark. It would be unlike anything the world had ever seen. A massive wooden vessel, built according to God's perfect instructions, strong enough to survive the greatest storm in history. Noah did not argue. He did not ask for proof. He obeyed. Day after day, Noah and his family worked on the ark. They cut the wood, shaped the beams, and built the enormous structure exactly as God had commanded. The people around them watched and laughed. Some mocked Noah. Others called him a fool. They could not understand why anyone would build such a giant ship when the skies were clear and life seemed normal. But Noah kept building. He did not build because of what he could see. He built because of what he believed. Years passed. The ark grew larger and larger until it stood as a powerful reminder of God's warning. Then the day finally came. The sky began to change. Dark clouds gathered across the horizon. The wind grew stronger. God told Noah to bring his family into the ark and to gather pairs of every kind of animal. Birds filled the skies. Lions walked beside lambs. Elephants, horses, deer, and creatures great and small made their way toward the ark. It was a sight unlike anything the world had ever witnessed. When everyone was safely inside, God closed the door. Then it happened. Rain began to fall. At first, it was gentle. Then it became heavier. Soon, the heavens opened and water poured down upon the earth without stopping. The rivers overflowed. The valleys disappeared. The mountains themselves began to vanish beneath the rising waters. The flood covered the earth. Everything outside the ark was swallowed by the storm. Yet the ark remained safe, floating upon the endless waters. Inside, Noah and his family waited. They did not know how long the journey would last. They could not see what lay ahead, but they trusted God. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. The endless sea surrounded them. But God had not forgotten his promise. At the right time, the winds began to blow. Slowly, the waters started to retreat. Hope returned. Noah released a raven. Then he sent out a dove. The dove came back. Later, Noah sent it again. This time, it returned carrying a fresh olive leaf. It was a sign that life had begun to return to the earth. Finally, the ark came to rest upon dry land. The doors were opened. Noah and his family stepped into a world that had been made new. Their first act was not to celebrate. It was to give thanks. Noah built an altar and worshiped God for his protection and faithfulness. Then God made a promise. As a sign of his covenant, he placed a rainbow in the sky. Whenever people would see it, they would remember that God keeps his word and that his mercy endures forever. The story of Noah is not simply about a flood. It is not only about an ark or the animals that entered it. It is a story about faith. It is a story about obedience. It is a story about trusting God even when everyone else doubts. Noah teaches us that faith is not believing only when life is easy. Faith is continuing to build when no one understands. Faith is trusting God's plan when the future cannot be seen. We all face storms in our lives. We experience fear, uncertainty, and moments when we wonder if things will ever get better. But Noah's story reminds us that storms do not last forever. The rain will stop. The waters will fall. the clouds will clear, and after the storm, God can create a new beginning. Perhaps that is why this ancient story continues to inspire millions of people around the world, because it reminds us that no matter how dark the sky becomes, God never abandons those who trust him. Just as Noah placed one piece of wood upon another, faithfully building the ark day after day, we too are called to build our lives with patience, courage, and faith. And perhaps the step of faith you take today is preparing you for the blessing God has planned for your tomorrow.